What's going on, everybody? This is Andre here with Camera Review Pro. In this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for the Canon M50 that you might not know about. Now, before we get into this video, I do want to remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. But with that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to go over is how to change the frame rate on the camera. This camera has several different qualities and frame rates you can choose from depending on the type of video you want to make. Changing the frame rate is really easy. All you got to do is press the Q button, and you're going to want to select this icon right here, and you're going to be able to choose between 4K at about 24 frames per second, 1080p at 60, 30, or 24 frames per second, or 720p at 60 frames per second. Now, typically, those qualities are the ones that you're normally going to be using, but this camera also has the capability of shooting 720p videos at 120 frames per second, and you actually have to go to a different spot in order to activate this. So if you do want to shoot in 720p at 120 frames per second, you're going to go to the menu, make sure you're in the shooting menu, select movie recording quality, make sure 720p or HD is selected, and enable high frame rate. This is going to allow you to shoot in 720p at 120 frames per second, which is going to be great for stuff like slow motion. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to enable manual audio recordings. So in and of itself, this camera doesn't really have the best built-in mic, but fortunately it does have an input for an external mic, so you can connect something like a shotgun mic and mount it right here at the top of the camera. But every mic is different, and sometimes it's going to be either too quiet, in which case you won't be able to hear anything, or if it's too loud, it might get distorted. And in those situations, being able to manually adjust the audio settings is a great feature. To do this, you're going to go to the menu, go to sound recording, and make sure the sound recording is in manual. When it is, you'll be able to change the recording level based on how you want the mic to sound. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to select the autofocus method. Now, this can be done through the main menu, but I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. All you need to do is press the Q button and see where it says autofocus. You're going to want to select this, and now you can choose between face tracking, zone tracking, or single point autofocus. The mode you should use is going to vary depending on which type of video you're shooting, but it is nice that you're able to adjust it and get that flexibility to shoot different types of scenes. Now, speaking of flexibility, sometimes you might not even want to use autofocus at all. Maybe you're shooting something like a nature scene and you want to be really hands-on with what the camera focuses on. Well, in that case, you might want to turn off autofocus and just use manual focus. This is so easy to do. It just takes the touch of one button. All you need to do is press this button right here, and it's going to switch from autofocus to manual focus. And then if you want autofocus back on, all you need to do is tap that button one more time, and it's going to turn back to autofocus. This is really cool to be able to switch so easily between them, but also keep in mind which mode you're in when you're shooting a video, because it's easy to forget and accidentally record a video in manual focus when you think it's in autofocus, and that could ruin the video. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to use image stabilization. This is great for stuff like vlogging, where the video has a lot of action in it, and you're doing camera pans and that sort of thing. This is a really easy feature to activate. All you need to do is go to the menu, go to the 5th page, and go to IS or image stabilization settings. As you can see, it is on right now, but you can turn it off if you don't want it to be on. And you can also enhance it if you're doing something like a vlog or a camera pan where you really want it to be smooth. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to change the exposure settings. If you're shooting a video like a vlog where there's lots of movement, then you're bound to be in different types of lighting throughout the video. In this case, you might want to have something called auto exposure. As the name suggests, it's going to automatically adjust the exposure of the video as you're changing lighting, so that way you won't have to worry about things being overexposed or underexposed. If you're walking around, say you go from the sun to the shade or vice versa, this feature makes it so much easier to do videos with lots of action and movement, because you won't have to worry about constantly changing the settings. So to set this feature up, you're going to go to the menu, go to the 2nd page, and go to Auto Lighting Optimizer. Now you'll be able to choose between low, standard, or high. And if you don't want auto exposure, you can always disable it. If you're shooting a really specific project where you have several different videos that all go together, you might want to have them all in one place where you can easily access them when you're editing it. Well, in this situation, one cool thing about the Canon M50 that really helps out with that is that you can create a custom folder. All you gotta do is go to your menu, hit the wrench icon right here, go to select folder, and create folder. This is going to allow you to create a new folder to store photos and videos so you can more easily organize them. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to change the white balance. Changing the white balance can greatly affect what your image looks like, so it's definitely an important thing to keep in mind. And luckily with the Canon M50, when it comes to white balance, there are so many different options. So all you need to do to change the white balance is press the Q button, and make sure the white balance icon is selected. You'll be able to choose from several different types of white balances based on what you're taking a picture of and what you want the colors to look like. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to change the menu style. As you can see right here, the menu is really simple, but you can actually make it even more simplified. And this is especially good if you're a beginner because it makes a lot of settings easier to find. So all you need to do to change the style of menu is open your menu, tap on this icon right here, and by default, the menu display is going to be standard. To change this, select the menu display and change it to guided. Now when you open your menu, it's going to be a little bit more condensed, and for some, this might be a little bit easier to read. Speaking of customizing the menu, the last thing I'm going to show you is how to create a custom tab. Now, if you're really starting to get used to the camera and there are certain settings that you change frequently, creating a separate tab is going to make these things a lot faster and easier to find. Like everything on this camera, this is so easy to do, which is one huge advantage the Canon M50 has, just being so user-friendly. So all you need to do to create a custom menu tab is go to your menu, select the star icon, and select Add My Menu tab. Now you'll be able to add all kinds of different features to give you faster and easier access to things you frequently change. But those were our tips and tricks for the Canon M50. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you found these tips and tricks useful as well. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I will see you in the next video.